My name is Tiffany Sherman, and I was introduced to Blast and Cast through my husband, Brad. I actually found out about Blast and Cast by doing his laundry as a young married couple, and I asked him what it was all about. He had more than one shirt, and they were really old, and he just said that it was a group of men that would go hunting and fishing and fellowship together.
My name is Thelma Rutledge, and my husband, who is not an outdoorsman, agreed to go, and so he liked it. He really saw the need for that, and he had a heart for those men that were there. That's how we were introduced to Blast and Cast.
My name is Jana Spooner. My husband, Michael, is not an outdoorsman. He has fished, but he is not an avid outdoorsman. My involvement with Blast and Cast is on the back end of things. I have the opportunity to do some editing and to also manage a lot of the social media content for Blast and Cast. It's very behind the scenes, but I believe that it is something that God has given me to reach someone with the message of Christ.
My name is Amanda Smoke, and I was first introduced to Blast and Cast by my husband, Chris. So when Chris was first invited to Blast and Cast, I think he thought it would be just a fishing trip with a bunch of good guys, which he did, but there was actually a lot more in store for him.
I'm Naomi Cooper, and I'm married to Brody Cooper, who is the Executive Director of Blast and Cast Men's Ministries. Blast and Cast is our life. If we were going to say that we were Christians and we were going to go to church on Sundays and proclaim that we wanted to be obedient, sold-out followers of Jesus, that if God was telling us to do this, that we had to take that step and that we had to follow through and be obedient.
I would say I want to encourage people to send their husbands or their sons to go because, yes, it's hard. It's hard to be the person that carries the burden of keeping the children alive and fed, but then it's so short term, and it's so important because when your husband comes back and he talks about how he was challenged in his faith and his walk with God, it always comes back that God is faithful and God is going to use that time, and it's important for our husbands to go and be in fellowship with other men.
I didn't see a fire in him until he really found his place in Blast and Cast, and it even led him to want to be baptized. One day he decided, you know what, I want to show everyone. I want to show everyone who I am.
Chris, do you know Jesus? Have you accepted him as your Lord and Savior? Yes, I do. Chris, I baptize you. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Personally, I've been able to see through the men that I know that are involved in Blast and Cast. Personally, I've seen them and I know them to be leaders in their family, and I know men that are putting themselves in leadership roles.
In my marriage, I have seen his heart awaken, his heart soften. I've seen him diving into God's Word more, seeking God's truth and what that means in our marriage and what that means in parenting. It's been really unique to see him learn to share his testimony and to share the gospel with people.
So one of the biggest things that Chris has learned is that you can be a strong person, you can be a strong man, and you can still lean on and put all your trust in Jesus.
One of the biggest things for me is the legacy that we're leaving for our kids and the example that I hope we're setting for our kids of living a life on mission, and that if God tells you to do something or He opens the door, it's normal life to step out and do that. It's all worth it. Lives are being changed because of that.
Well, even though Red is not an outdoorsman, he just felt like it has given him an opportunity to kind of direct these men that love the outdoors to this fellowship of men that love the Lord and will be blessed by any outing that they have.
I think one thing a lot of people don't realize is that most nonprofit organizations like Blast and Cast, it is completely funded by donors. like you. Even a little bit, given a little bit at a time, can go a long way.
It might not be a lot, and you may not have a lot to give, but if you give a little, that can go a long way to someone who needs to know Jesus, who wants to get closer to God and not have any other way than the outdoors to give.
These men are challenged and they come home and they're bold in their faith and they're talking to other men too. And I just think, who am I to stand in the way of Brody being challenged or challenging men to go and share the gospel? And if one person is saved, then it's worth it.
I don't look at it as him running away from his family. I look at it as him running to Jesus.
It's not a hunting trip. It's not a weekend fishing trip. It's a mission trip.
It's so much more than that. Through reaching men, Blasting Cast is reaching families, and through reaching families, Blasting Cast is reaching communities and making an impact for the gospel.